time for drinks now. Gotta go. All right, bye. Hello, everyone. Oh, it's so cold. It's lovely to see you. Hi, Shell. Hi, Craig. And hello to everybody else who's out there. I got a little text. So during the chats, g'day, Kate. How you doing? During the chats, you may remember that one of our group was going off caravanning. I'm not sure how much information they gave us on the chats, but Karen and Peter are watching us and joining in with us tonight from Stanley Chasm, which is apparently very close to Alice Springs. They've been in their little camper van. G'day, Emily. Hi, Cotty and John and everybody else. It's lovely. Oh, so cold. Richard's lit a fire for me. Hang on, where's the fire? There it is. Beautiful fire raging in the fireplace. And it's been, the dogs have just come back from their walk with Jill and Richard and Sue. Hopefully Sue is back at home with Daryl having a glass of Shiraz now, because it looks really wet and horrible out there. So nice to be inside on a night like tonight. G'day, Simon and Angela. How are you going? I've had pictures of meat sent to me. I think Simon and Angela are going to be eating a lovely, looks like a tomahawk steak, like a big piece of meat on a bone. Shell, good to hear you've gone wild pork sausages. How exciting! Wild boar. How fabulous. Barbecue, eggplant, zucchini and asparagus. How delicious. Hello, Daryl and Sue. Glad to see you. Craig, I think this is a very interesting wine as well, and I'm going to get some in my glass. Now, I'm so sorry that the link was a bit late coming out tonight. It's been one of those days. Last day of work out in the winery for vintage. Jeremy and Richard have still got a little bit of work to do. Lovely piece of porterhouse. Fantastic, Kate. And I have finished filling all of my barrels, which is very nice. Jeff, bit of Wagyu, fantastic. You know how to go all out. So been pumping wine today, just got it all done before the rain came, got the winery all tidied up. I've had about 3 important emails to write, which have taken me the rest of the afternoon. I was hoping to go home and get changed into something a little bit more glamorous tonight, but, you get what you get. Don't get upset, as we say, as my nieces have been taught to say. And this is nice and warm. So I got a message from Angela asking if you guys should decant the Shiraz, and it's not essential, but this is the kind of wine that will evolve and change in the glass. So I am going to get this open, 2017 McIntyre Shiraz, and I'm going to whack it in a decanter before I put it in the glass. So I've just got my little decanter. It's got a bit of texture mark on it because we use these for oh, Alison, that sounds nice. Mushroom gyoza, how fantastic. Yeah, I think mushroomy flavours are going to work. Hello, Sarah and all the Trixers. Nina and Pete, hi. How you going? Oh, is Pete home yet? I hope he is. Anyway, cheers. Shiraz in the decanter. Here we go. And so, so we're having our official end of vintage party with the winery and Celador team tomorrow night, and then it's back to work as normal. Look at the colour in that. You couldn't mistake that for Pinot Noir, could you? It's just purpley, deep purpley ruby goodness. Let's put some in the glass. There we go. Cheers, everyone. Here's to the beginning of oh, Nina. Oh, well, don't drink it all without him. Here's to autumn and the end of vintage. Cheers. So I think I'm so excited that so many of you have embraced the whole meat suggestion, because this wine, when people ask me what to match dry wines, I usually have a pretty good vegetarian option, but I think with this Shiraz, It does work really well with roasted root vegetables, but it really comes into its own with some grilled meat, bit of lamb, bit of steak. Or as those of you, and there's a few of you who are here tonight who were at our Shiraz lunch a couple of weeks ago, know a piece of slow-cooked brisket is fantastic with this wine. So we're going to talk about slow cooking meat in a minute, but let's talk about the wine first. So Shiraz is a great variety that some people still give us a hard time for. Oh, there goes Jill's phone ringing somewhere in the room. Jill, someone's trying to call you. We'll just pretend it's a cricket singing. There are still people who give us a hard time for making Shiraz here on the Mornington Peninsula because a lot of people, oh, Emily, slow-cooked pulled pork and sweet potato. Kevin, that sounds delicious. I reckon that could work really well, actually. Sweet potato is really good with this wine because the wine has a sweet fruitedness and a savouriness to it, which, like sweet potato, has that kind of savouriness but all that sweetness in it when you roast it. I think it could work very, very well. Anyway, Shiraz on the Mornington Peninsula is sneered at by quite a lot of people, and we think that indeed, Craig, I'm getting there. We think that it's a really interesting grape variety to play around with down here, but it is a marginal climate for Shiraz here on the Mornington Peninsula, and one of the things that you see in Shiraz when it's not quite, it's not ripe in the way that it gets ripe in Coonawarra or Barossa or McLaren. It's really ripe and rich and very. I always think of cherry ripe. You've got that sweet cherry fruit and a bit of coconut from the oak and that dark chocolate flavour as well that comes through in a really ripe Shiraz. This is a really different fruit profile here because it's so much cooler. There's less heat in the sunshine even over summer than there is in those warmer climates. We get a lot more cool weather. So the grapes ripen more slowly and the flavours develop differently, and we don't get that really kind of rich, syrupy, chocolatey, Christmas cakey kind of character that you get from Shirazes from warmer climates. But you do get a lovely, Deb and Rob have got a power outage. I'm hoping that it won't get here because they're just down the road from us. So if you lose me, if we have a power outage, then just drink your Shiraz and enjoy your meat, and we'll reconvene next week. But hopefully we can hang on in there. So Shiraz grown down here on the peninsula, because it's cool, ripens much more slowly and doesn't ever develop that really rich kind of jammy fruit character, but it retains that those lovely herbal notes that Craig is asking about. So the herbal notes are a sign of less ripe Shiraz. Some people, I don't agree with them, but some people would say underripe Shiraz. But I think it's part of, for me, it's just part of the continuum of Shiraz. Oh, okay, Deb, that's all right. I won't worry. They're doing renovations, which is why they're having power outages, not because the local Moorooduc electricity is about to all go on the fritz. Cotty, we don't have a different clone from the warmer climates. We just grow it in a different climate, and it has to just handle it. If you think about where Shiraz is originally from, it's originally grown in the northern part of the Rhone in France, and it was brought out to Australia in the very early days of European settlement and came to South Australia first, which is why we're so used to those South Australian warmer Shiraz, because that's where it's been grown for the longest, and that's where Australian Shiraz has really become famous. Craig, that's sweet. Jeff does, I think actually, to be honest with you, and she's not on the chat, so I have to stand up for her. I reckon Jeff may have packed your wine beautifully, but I have a feeling it was actually Linda who packed your last order. So whoever packed it, everyone at Moorooduc is delighted that it got to you safe and sound. And we do work really hard on making sure that we pack things up well when they go interstate, because Australia Post certainly likes to play football with packages sometimes, so we have to make sure that they're absolutely bulletproof. On another note, let's get back to Shiraz. So the other reason that our Shiraz has this kind of earthy herbal character is because it's 100% whole bunch fermented. So we've talked about whole bunch versus destemming in the past, but just to recap, most of our red wine these days, we will put the bunches of fruit through a destemmer that takes the fruit off the stalks, throws the stalks away, and then the fruit goes down into the fermenter. In fact, if you came to Moorooduc today and you went for a walk around the property, you smell this amazing smell of sort of fermenting stalks, and they're starting to, because we're composting them all at the bottom of the property, just working on trying to be a little bit cleaner and greener rather than throwing them in waste. For a long time, we used to give them to a farmer who fed them to his cows, but then he did a bit more research and discovered that it wasn't really great feed for cows. So he decided to stop buying it. So we now compost our stalks and also the leftover skins from the ferments. But if you, oh, hi Greg, lovely to see you. Don't worry, it doesn't matter. Late is nothing. Linda is watching with Steve and can't answer. Jeffy, you're going to take responsibility for it. Oh dear. So Alison got you. Oh really? Oh, that's awesome. So yeah. So Alison's just commented that she really likes this wine because it's elegant and not a heavy Shiraz. It's why we like making Shiraz here as well, because I find a lot of those very hyper ripe wines from warmer climates just a bit tiring to my palate and to my brain, and I find them quite hard to match them to food as well. I mean, they're sort of lovely to drink half a glass of on their own, or when they've had a lot of age. Hello, Frodo. How you going? Frodo's being really sooky at the moment. He keeps coming up and having chats, so I think he's feeling the cold a little bit, to be honest. He's 10 years old now. He's getting to be an elderly dog. So this style of Shiraz is more in keeping with a more European style of Shiraz that's grown in a slightly cooler area. So the Rhone is the region of the Rhone where they grow most of the Shiraz in France is to the south of, the south of Lyon. Sorry, I just had to like make sure I was standing upside down or up the right way. Oh, Donna, hi. Hi. That's okay, Donna. It's lovely to see you, and I hope that Greg is he's in Egypt. Well, I hope he's having a lovely time over there, and I hope you're enjoying your Shiraz, Donna. We've got lots of people who log in under different people's names, and if I ever call anyone the wrong name, or if I forget to say hello to someone in a household, just assume that I'm saying hello to Joan and Karen as well as to Craig and all of you. I love you all. I'm hopeless. I'm hopeless at saying everybody's name. So anyway, let's talk about the Shiraz and not my terrible memory. The beautiful thing about this wine, I think, is that it does have that plummy fruit character that you get in a Shiraz, but it's not plum jam. It's like fresh plums because it hasn't been heated up as much. It's also got those lovely herbal notes, which to me just remind me of the sort of dishes that I'm about to talk to you about. Hang on a sec. Richard? Dad, would you mind closing that door? Because I can hear you clanking around with you should come and sit down and have a drink rather than keeping on working. Richard's working. He's doing the dishes. But if you could close the door, that would be lovely. Yeah, it's just I can hear everything that's going on in the kitchen. It's distracting me from my drinks and my talking to my friends, and it's kind of annoying. And anyway, I'll stop yelling at my father. And now I'm saying that I've got an unstable connection, so I've wasted time there. But we're reconnecting. I think hopefully you can still hear me. So where was I up to before I started asking Dad to close the door? This Shiraz. It's the herbal notes. It does, Craig. A lot of people are reminded of a riper Cabernet or like a Coonawarra Cabernet that has that sort of, here you go, Richard. It's in the decanter. you get a little bit of that sort of roasted capsicum character coming through, and you get those lovely sort of, it's not parsley and coriander, it's not soft herbs, it's kind of hard herbs. It's things like bay leaves and thyme and rosemary. And if you, oh good, thank you, Alison. That's, what do you, Jeff, what a mistake. What a mistake. It is, Cotty, lovely to have a Shiraz that isn't all tannin. And it does also remind me of, thanks, Shell. Oh dear, I'm being told off all around. So one of the other things about Australian Shiraz that people often don't know is that one of the sort of big wine company winemaking techniques is, and I think I've mentioned this before, is to add extra tannin to the wine as it's soaking on the skins and fermenting, because that helps to set more colour. So you get denser colour, but you also get more tannin on the palate. And it's often quite a hard sort of gravelly tannin, which is different from the tannin that you get naturally from Shiraz. Is quite, it's there, but it's quite kind of soft and plush. So yes, but I can't hear you doing the dishes, Nina. That's the difference. You're doing them quietly over there, and Richard was doing them noisily right next to me. So yes, so the tannin is all naturally from the fruit. Craig, you're asking about the oak. Now, this wine sometimes sees a very tiny amount of new oak, but usually very little, if no, new oak for the Shiraz. I don't think Jeremy's on tonight, so he won't be able to correct me. I think he's got unwell children to look after tonight. But if you are on, Jeremy, and you want to tell me that I've said the wrong thing, please feel free. But yeah, Simon and Angela, how do you add tannin? I will tell you in a moment. So new oak will add tannin to the wine. And as I say, this wine doesn't see very much. Oh yes, Frodo's behind me. Frody, hi. Are you on the tasting? Oh, here he comes. Hello, Frode. How you going, babe? Now nobody can see you. I'll give you a pat. But this wine does spend about 14 months in oak, mostly old oak, after it's fermented. So that gives it time to breathe and settle, and for the tannins to settle down, and all of those sort of things. So Simon wants to know, how do you add tannin? Basically, winemaking companies will produce tannin usually from grape skins or stalks, dehydrated and then turned into a powder, and then you just add it back into your wine. Unfortunately, because it's not the same grape skins and stalks that came from the grapes that the wine is made from, then it changes the shape of the wine. And I think it's that heavy feeling that you get from a lot of red wines. And, you say yuck, Craig, and I agree, but a lot of producers use it, and some people use added tannins better than others. If you're if you're heavy-handed with them, then it's very obvious. If you use them well, then it can just accentuate the colour and the savouriness and the density of the wine. And sometimes people can get away with it without it being spoiled. Oh, goodness. It's totally kosher, Alison. I can tell you right now that, big wine companies, if you think of any of the big wine companies, think of Penfolds, think of Wolf Blass, think of Seppelts, they all do it to a greater or lesser extent. It's really not controversial at all. It's just normal big company winemaking. Yes, Jeff, wineries from some of the hotter regions tend to do it more because you tend to get less dense tannin in grapes that have grown in hotter climates than in a cool climate where the tannins can kind of develop and ripen more slowly. It is like the oak tea bagging, Craig, and it's a really good way to reduce the cost of making wine. And it's why we've got so much not terrible wine in the sort of $10, $15 to $20 mark. We can't do it here, and we don't choose to use any of those sort of shortcuts with our winemaking, because we think it would make the wine less harmonious, less special, less exciting. That's one of the reasons that the wine, we think that our wine tastes delicious, because we rely on very much the characters of the fruit that's grown in our vineyards, rather than adding lots of additions. But lots of wineries will make really beautiful wine with quite a lot of additions. So Cotty asked about tartaric acid, and yeah, lots of people use tartaric acid in winemaking as well. That's a different thing. That's when the pHs are too high, and sometimes we have to use a little bit of tartaric acid. This year, not at all. This year has been a beautiful year for acid and low pHs. And Simon, is that powder the sludge you get at the bottom of the glass? Look, sometimes it is, but also natural tannins in wine drop out of the wine, because when tannins, whether they come naturally from the grapes that you've picked or whether they've been added into the wine during the winemaking process, they do a thing over time called polymerization, and that's one of the reasons that we leave red wine in barrel for a bit longer than white wine usually, because with that little bit of oxygen, that aids the polymerization of the tannins. And what polymerization means, and I hope I'm not talking to any chemistry teachers out there, but it's basically the smaller tannins joining up with each other and becoming longer chains of tannin, and then when they get too big, they get too heavy and they drop out, which means that it's really that you get a softer wine and a wine that has less harsh edges to it. Gosh, lots of questions. Emily and Kevin, yes, there are absolutely natural tannins that occur in the process. The tannins, the natural tannins in red wine give it its colour as well as its texture. So natural tannins, oh my God, Jeff, hang on a sec. So natural tannins occur in the skins of grapes, in the pips of grapes, and also in the stalks, which is why this wine has got more structure to it than a wine that you would have if we de-stemmed the Shiraz before. And this is how we started sort of talking about tannins in the first place, that when wine is becoming wine, when red wine is becoming wine, you start out with grape juice and skins and pips and sometimes stalks in the mix, whether you de-stem it or not. And some tannins and colour in the skin and flavours in the skin and in the stalks, if they're in there, are water soluble. So when you've got grape juice, it's sugar and water and flavours in the juice, and those water soluble tannins and flavours and things come out of the skins and into the wine. And then after the fermentation's finished, during the fermentation, we plunge the cake to mix it up to try and pull more colour and tannin and flavour out of the skins during the fermentation process. And then after fermentation's happened, all the sugar and water has been converted to alcohol in water. So it's then an alcoholic solution. And there are other flavours and tannins and compounds in the skins and the stalks that are extracted by an alcoholic solution. So the time that the wine before, during and after fermentation spends on the skins and sometimes the stalks will have a direct correlation with how much tannin, how much savouriness, how much structure, as well as the type of flavours that you have in the wine. And if we made Shiraz without the stalks or the skins, then you'd have an insipid kind of pink wine that had none of the texture and very little interest. And you can make a rosé from Shiraz, but it's very different from this. So that's how all of that works. So tannins are naturally occurring. Sometimes people will boost them with extra tannins. We choose not to. And Jeff has asked, so big winemakers, little winemakers, medium-sized winemakers can do whatever they like in Australia. They can add tannin, they can add oak chips, they can add acid. They're not allowed to add sugar to the juice to make it more alcoholic. That's not really allowed. I think the rules have changed. I think that you are now allowed to chaptalize a little bit, which is adding sugar to increase the alcohol. Anyway, in Australia, pretty much anything goes. So a winemaker can add tannins as well as oak flakes, or they can add tannins. So if you're making a really big batch of cheap red wine and you want to keep the cost down as much as possible, then putting them in a big stainless steel vat and adding in oak chips and tannins, and in fact, might be oak chips, might be oak staves, stirring it all up, then the flavours from the oak addition and the characters from the tannins will go into the wine. So you can add both, you can add neither, you can add one or the other. It just depends on what people's personal philosophy or wineries, company philosophy is on how they make wine. And none of it's evil, none of it's incorrect. That sort of winemaking with lots of added tannin into lots of things doesn't really excite me hugely, but there's some pretty famous wines out there that have been manipulated, tricked up a little bit like that, and a lot of people really enjoy them. So I'm not just talking about cheap wine either with these tannin additions. So I reckon, Craig, they probably don't add sugar if their top wine is at 17%, because I think that probably in the Hunter you can get grapes that ripe, and that's really terrifying. Now, I'm missing lots of questions. Yes, Andrew and Alison and Craig, I'm glad to hear that I have increased your average spend per bottle of wine, because I think we should all drink less and drink better. And when you open a bottle of wine, it should bring you incredible joy and happiness. And I think that's a really great thing. I also was going to say, just before I lose more, Craig, that's why we're here. I nearly missed that one. I got it. Thank you. Why is our wine special? We think it's special because we put all that extra work into it, and that's the way we like to make wine. So of course we're going to say that's like the best way to make wine, but it's not for everybody. I think if you're enjoying, Cameron Russell's here, awesome. So hello, Cameron, lovely to see you. Give me 2 secs. I've got 2 more questions to answer, and then I will introduce you properly. So, Craig, the other thing that I was going to say about your winery in the Hunter that's top wine is at 17%. Instead of adding sugar, they also possibly dehydrate the grapes a little bit, which concentrates the natural sugar in the juice and gives you potential higher alcohol. So, Shell, I contest the average hangover claim, because if you're drinking a glass of water for every glass of wine, as I told you at the beginning of Drinks with Kate, I should probably say that more often. You shouldn't get a hangover from drinking good wine. If you do, then you're not drinking enough water, and maybe we're drinking too much wine. Anyway, Conmurray wine. I don't know that one, Kate. Is that a typo or is that correct? Anyway, okay. Yes, yes, Jeff. Yeah. Anyway, 17% in wine is crazy. Now, Cameron Russell is here. Cameron Russell is here to have a chat because we have Marie Kondo. Yes, excellent. Thank you, Kate. I understand what you're saying now. You've absolutely got to spark joy. Oh, Deb, I know. We know you're there. We love you anyway, even if you're just on the text tonight. I hope you're enjoying your wine. So, everyone, this is Cameron Russell. He's on the chat now, and he's come to join us so that if anyone's got any questions about the upcoming mushroom tours, now's the time to ask. So Cam has been doing mushroom tours with us at Moorooduc for over 10 years, isn't it, Cam? I was trying to work it out the other day. It's been quite some time, and in May and June every year, we keep our fingers crossed that we get the right weather for mushrooms. And Cameron comes down from Central Victoria every Sunday for 4, 5, 6 weeks, and he runs 2 mushroom tours a weekend. We do one early one, which I think starts just before 10 a.m. And each mushroom tour goes for about an hour and a half, I think. Cam, please feel free to correct me if I'm giving people the wrong. I did check the website this afternoon, but I've been doing so many things. I'm like, the details are falling out of my brain. So the second mushroom tour is more expensive, but it includes a lunch at the end of it. So the first mushroom tour, you just go on a mushroom tour and come back and have a glass of wine. And then the second one, you meet Cam and he takes you out. So we meet at Moorooduc. Everyone meets Cam, has a chat. He tells you the rules and all of that sort of stuff. And in fact, most people come back from Cam's mushroom tours saying, I thought I was going to learn how to go mushroom foraging, but now I'm more scared of foraging the wrong mushrooms than ever before. So perhaps we should leave it to the experts. He also talks to people a little bit about famous types of mushrooms like truffles and magic mushrooms and that kind of thing. So then everyone jumps back in their car and goes to a secret destination not too far away, a little bit too far to walk, but not too far from here. And then you park by the side of the road somewhere and Cameron takes you for a bit of a walk, and hopefully you see lots of mushrooms and maybe pick some edible ones, and talk about how easy it is to confuse edible ones from poisonous ones and all of those exciting things. It's a lovely walk in the countryside. Sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's sunny, we never know. Anyway, it's a really lovely, and I have actually been on one once, and the one that I went on was a year when we had terrible mushroom season. I think we saw 3 mushrooms. It was a bit sad. But Cameron has been in contact with me recently, and we're all a bit excited because we're all seeing the mushrooms popping up out of the earth. And in fact, we had a lovely little feed of pine mushrooms just a couple of nights ago here at Moorooduc with some homemade pasta, which was absolutely delicious. And so what can I say? Cam, your mushroom tours are amazing. We love having them here. The best way to find out more and to book in, and I'm seeing that some people, Shell's coming on the 30th of May with Jill's lunch, which is going to be awesome. Craig, yes, that sounds like a bit of a dodgy mushroom tour that you had, maybe, perhaps. But Cam's are fantastic. And he has a website. So you don't book the mushroom tours through Moorooduc Estate. You go to Cam's website, which is really easy. If you Google mushroom tours, it's the first one that comes up. It's www.mushroomtours.com. All of the dates are there, and you can book through the website, and I think Cam's contact details are there as well. If you need to ask him any other questions, you can email him. But they're really fun. They're really lovely. They're very relaxed and relaxing usually. Some of you, Now I'm gonna dredge into your long distant past, Cam. Some of you might remember Cam from the Victorian market, about 15, 20 years ago, Cam, when he ran the best veggie store there, or the organic veggie store at the market. So you might recognise him when you come by. Emily, you do need to do the tour, and it's just really lovely. It's a lovely way to spend a Sunday morning in May or June. Vic Market Stall 83. There you go, Cotty. 15 years ago. See, Cam, everyone knows you. You're famous. So what else? Anything else that I've forgotten to tell people about, Cam, about the awesomeness of the mushroom? Are they booked out yet? Have we still got spots? The lovely thing about the mushroom tours, particularly if you come on the second one, is sitting down and having a meal. And Jack and Zach, you guys booked into, oh, excellent. You guys booked into next lunch, and I think I confused people a little bit last week talking about mushrooms and lunches and Pinots and all of that sort of stuff. The mushroom lunches are the ones that are attached to the mushroom tours. So that'll be, I think there's 4 on the website at the moment, in May and June, possibly 5. We're just kind of finalising if we need to do any more dates or if we're going to keep it at that. So you book them through Cameron, not through us. Our next 2 lunches, you guys would have seen emails about them, and I know that some of you have already booked in, but we've got one coming up, not this Sunday but the following Sunday, and that's the lunch with the pea and prosciutto soup for entree and osso buco and risotto for main course. It looks delicious. I think we've got one table for 4 people left, so if you were thinking about booking and you haven't booked yet, give Linda a call in the morning after 9 o'clock. And she'll be able to sort you out. The Pinot lunch that's coming up in mid-May is also booking out really fast. I think we've got 2 or 3 tables left there, 2s and 4s, or maybe there's a 6 as well. Anyway, if you're interested, do give Linda a call in the morning. We don't have any tables for 2 yet. They always get booked out the fastest. So if you've got 2 people wanting to come for lunch, find some friends and come with some friends. It's more fun that way as well. Linda's texting me, lunches, 1 table at each available, 4 or more. There you go. She's obviously sold another table. There you go. So 4 or more, 4, 5 or 6 people on a table, 1 table for Sunday week, 1 table for the May lunch with the Pinot release, lots of single vineyard Pinots. What are we drinking next week? I'm running out of time. So Cam, the lunch that we do for mushroom tours is very mushroom focused. So if you don't like mushrooms, if you don't like eating mushrooms, maybe it's not the lunch to come to. We get people sometimes who join in, who book in and then go, oh, actually, but I hate mushrooms. And it makes the lunch a little bit awkward for them. But that's okay. Okay, the May lunch. Bear with me, Greg. Greg, are you on our mailing list? Do you get our emails? Because that would be just for the wine club, the Pinot lunch. So if you're on the chat and you're not in the wine club yet, and you're not getting the wine club emails, then you need to give Linda or Jeff a call in the morning as well. The Pinot lunch is on Sunday the 16th, I think, which is the Sunday after Mother's Day. So, and that is just for wine club members. Donna, sorry. Donna, you are in the wine club, and Jeff will sort you out. Sorry, Donna. Jeff will sort you out tomorrow. So yes, it's May the 16th, I think, is the Pinot lunch, and I'll get Jeff to give you. Jeff will give you a call in the morning, Donna. Thank you, Jeff. That's awesome. I love the way we work. Now, Jeff, can you tell me what the wine is for next week? Because I haven't bothered to look that up yet. Let me have a look. Next week, we're all getting together to drink another wine. Oh, dear. Are you all enjoying your Shiraz still? How's the meat going with it? Did anyone just go for mushrooms and chips or anything? Because that works quite well as well with this wine. And I haven't even talked about slow cooked meat yet. Next week we're back on the 2013 Pinot Gris. So anyone who missed that last year, this wine is an absolute treat. We will be talking about how Pinot Gris ages and what sort of food it goes with. I will send you a couple of recipes on Monday for suggestions. Drinks with Kate, K. That's just short for Drinks with Kate, DWK. 2013 Pinot Gris. Now, I was just going to talk a little bit about Jill's brisket, but we've kind of nearly run out of time. So very briefly, it's all about the marinating of the meat and then the slow cooking of the meat. And you can do it with, so Mum did this amazing brisket dish with this Shiraz at the last lunch, and Cotty and Peter were here, Emily and Kevin were here, Craig and Karen were here. I think there were some more of you guys were here as well. Anyway, all of you who were here know how delicious it was, and anyone who wasn't here, Deb and Rob were also here. I hope so, Deb. Deb's also hoping that dinner's coming back with Rob because, yes, hungry making talk and wine, absolutely. So the brisket, very, very simply, very quickly, and I can, if you need me to send you the recipe, this is what Jill's given me, just so that you know it's not out of just some recipe book. This is Jill's writing. And basically you get a big piece of brisket, 2.5 kilos of brisket, and you rub the fat side with salt, lots of salt and pepper, and then you marinate it with chopped up a stick of celery, a carrot, a handful of bay leaves underneath it, a tablespoon of peppercorns, pinch of ground cloves, not cloves, teaspoon of mushroom powder, and then 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, dark soy sauce, and Jill uses a gluten-free one just because that's nice, and a bottle of Shiraz. And if that doesn't cover the meat completely, and you're putting that in sort of a shallow, big baking dish that holds the meat flat, if that doesn't cover the meat completely, you might want to add a bit more water so that it's all covered. Then you marinate it overnight, and then it goes into a slow oven, about 150 degrees centigrade. Jill added some, I think she took it out. She just went through it all with me. I think she took it out of the marinade before she cooked it. So take it out of the marinade, put some bunches of Shiraz grapes, if you can get your hands on them, underneath, and cook it slowly for about 5 to 6 hours at 150 degrees centigrade. It will reward you hugely. And you can do that with a shoulder of lamb. You can, well, Craig, it's, you can use Jacob's Creek Shiraz to cook it, and you could try cooking it with something a little bit fancier and see if it makes any difference to the flavour. Absolutely, Shell, you could do it with boar. It would be fantastic. If you can get a big piece of boar and do exactly that to it, maybe a little bit of juniper on it, because boar's nice with juniper berries, can work perfectly. Bit of pork belly could work as well. It's about the marinating, and then it's about the slow cooking and just letting the slow heat work its magic over 5-6 hours. So slow cooking meat, it's the most awesome thing. It's a great thing to do as the weather gets cold and we've got time to, because it sounds like a really big job, but if you get it organised, then it's really just the whacking it all together and sticking it in the fridge overnight, and then taking it out of the marinade and putting it into a cool oven, 150 degrees centigrade, and setting your timer for 5 or 6 hours. And then you can just get on with other things in the house, do some gardening, whatever. And then you've got this amazing slab of melt-in-the-mouth meat at the end of it. Always good to serve it with a bit of mashed potato or mashed other root vegetables, or some polenta, some pasta, anything that takes your fancy, really, something that kind of, gives you something to mop up the juices. That'd be awesome. Cotty, I knew you would ask me a question that I don't know the answer to. The marinade could become the sauce. You can reduce it down, or you can just chuck it out. So it depends what, if you like a gravy, you can reduce it down with a bit of flour to thicken it up. All of these things are possible, and all of these things can be played around with. I am going to go because we've been talking for 45 minutes. Can you believe it? I'm going to go. My niece is down from Newcastle, and I'm going to meet her and her other grandparents for a little bite of dinner now. So I'm going to love you and leave you. Say cheers to everyone. Have a happy Thursday night. Enjoy your Shiraz. Enjoy your meat. enjoy each other's company. It's been great, and I'll see you all again next week. And I won't be doing vintage anymore. So cheers to that.